Hysteria over Maggi skirts real issues of food contamination. From what I can gather from the hysteria in the media, my health is safe because I have not eaten Maggi noodles except on rare occasions in almost 3 decades of the product's presence in Indian markets. I term the coverage of the Maggi controversy by the media as frenzy despite being aware of the knee-jerk reaction of most state governments. It almost appears that political leaders of the country thought that banning this Nestle India product will ensure glowing cheeks for Indians, that all health issues of the country will be resolved if the people are not allowed from eating Maggi. I have termed the media coverage over-exaggerated because there have been very few attempts to put the issue in perspective to explain to readers and viewers that the presence of chemicals that are harmful for human consumption is just the tip of the iceberg. Nestle India on its own has tried to minimize the damage and has taken the controversial product off the shelf in the hope that the negative campaign will not impact its other products. When state after state governments were banning Maggi, it appeared as if there was a race among states to appear that they are not favoring corporates and this FMCG product. The action was taken for 2 reasons. Firstly, to demonstrate that the governments were not in a state of inertia but had responded to crisis and fresh developments and regulations. The Gujarat government, reportedly, also banned instant noodles manufactured and sold by 2 other companies, Sunfeast and SK Foods. Secondly, the ruling party in these states did not wish to give the handle to the local opposition. But these bans does not stop consumption of lead in amounts that are far in excess of what is fit to consumption. The ban also does not prevent consumption of monosodium glutamate (MSG). Both lead and MSG are freely being consumed through a plethora of products. To understand how this is happening with no attempt by state governments and the center to go into the roots of the problem, one will have to go back to a bit of contemporary history. In the late 1980s, when India was flush with a wave of increased consciousness on environmental issues, government agencies too exhibited bravado. The Indian Council of Medical Research, the premier body for medical research in the country, launched a pioneering study that resulted in a path-breaking report in 1993. The nationwide study involved several ICMR labs in the country, many universities and research bodies. The basic findings of the report were startling and for conspiratorial reasons, the report was never formally released. It however was accessed by a few environmental groups and some journalists. Though the government did not acknowledge the report and the extent and problem of food contamination in India, I was successful in directing an episode of the program as I on this particular issue. The hour-long program, produced for Doordarshan by Bag Films, and the episode was titled Kayan to Kaya. At the beginning there is need to understand that the problem of food contamination is not to be confused with adulteration. The latter is mostly the result of methods used by unscrupulous manufacturers and traders to enhance profit, while the former is the result of the food items being produced or manufactured getting affected because the entire chain is faulty. The ICMR report established several worrisome facets of almost every food item and product that we eat. This was because the study tested almost every food product ranging from cereals and pulses to vegetables and fruits. The study examined poultry, fish and other animal products. It opened tons of canned food, infant formula, and packets of every conceivable edible FMCG one could think of. In the early 1990s, cereals, pulses, vegetables and fruits were found to be carrying excessive amounts of pesticides and fertilizers. This was happening because of unchecked use of pesticides in Indian farms and also because of no effort to make farmers more aware of the harmful effects of indiscriminate use of pesticides and fertilizers. Almost every canned food product was found contaminated with these harmful substances besides the more dangerous heavy metals. Milk products were carrying more than permissible levels of lead, cadmium, arsenic besides less harmful pesticides and fertilizers. The ICMR established that infant formula available in the market was among the most contaminated. However, the biggest nightmare was that samples of human breast milk which were analyzed painstakingly revealed that mother's milk in India was probably the most contaminated sample analyzed anywhere in the world. This was because lactating mothers were consuming extensively contaminated food items, and this was reflecting on the quality of breast milk. The ICMR study also examined addictive and harmful products that were consumed by humans. This included tobacco, known to cause several health problems including raised levels of blood pressure. Most tobacco samples were found to be contaminated with heavy metals, and these were further found carrying more than permissible traces of heavy metals. It was thus a double whammy. In a nutshell, the ICMR stated that the entire Indian food chain had become contaminated. There does not appear to have been any significant change in our agricultural methods and manufacturing processes. Yet the ICMR report followed and no follow-up was done. I hope that the din over Maggi will soon subside and someone in the government will dust this report and prepare a comprehensive strategy to minimize food contamination. The din over Maggi should not get restricted to either the company or instant noodles. This episode should be used as a timely warning and initiate corrective steps. Organic farming should not become a fad and restricted to the elite. There is need for more effective food and safety standards authority and revisiting our laws to plug the gap to prevent contamination of food. Our production and manufacturing processes have to be sanitized.